Hi friends, a very pleasant good evening and welcome to Oliveboard's free online classes for SEBI Grade A 2020. I really hope that you're taking good care of yourself. Welcome to lecture number 4. Now the section that we're going to cover is management and the topic it is going to be leadership theories. So this is part 2 and I hope you have followed the previous 3 lectures and one among those lectures was leadership theories part 1, right? So let's see what is in store today. So we'll be having a look at 3 leadership theories. In the previous class, we had a look at 2 leadership theories. Now, we also started off with an introduction which explained to you the categories of leadership theories. So one of those categories is traits theory, which believes that a leader is born with certain traits and acquires some as he or she faces certain experiences in his or her life. The second kind of leadership theory is the behavioral approach theory, wherein it is very clearly stated that leaders are not born but they are made, right? So you can leadership qualities can be acquired, they can be taught in the course of life. The third kind of a leadership theory that we saw was functional approach theory, which basically said that we need to concentrate on how the leadership works, okay, rather than who is the leader. So it basically says that the entire organization can effectively work together to function as a leader rather than a single individual. So all of us can learn together and acquire those leadership skills. So that's what your functional approach says. How is what we concentrate there rather than who as part of your functional approach theory. So today what we'll do is we will take one theory in each of these categories and we'll figure out what are the important pointers. Just to give you a quick recap, that there's other kind of category which says contingency or situational theory, which says that there's no perfect style of leadership that exists. It all depends upon the situation or the circumstances. Okay. Now, what is a bit different today, friends? I'll be giving you some 3 to 4 questions that you guys need to solve. You need to tell me the answers of those questions in the comment section below, and it will also test you whether you are able to, get the basics of whatever I'm teaching here. So we will see the answer also maybe in the next class, or we can write down in the comment section as well. That also can be done. Fine. So quickly coming, it's going to be a very short lecture, but again informative. Please just, make sure you have your full concentration here. So first is the Gordon-Allport trait theory. So as you already saw that this is coming under the traits theory, which says that, the traits are influenced by our childhood experiences plus the current environment. So you're born with certain traits, then you have certain experiences in life. So all this leads to a kind of a leadership characteristics that a person has, right? So Gordon elaborated further and spoke about these traits. So he said that if you talk about the personality of an individual, okay, it is made up of 3 kinds of traits. One is a cardinal, the second is central, and the third is secondary. Now, there's not much detailing in this particular theory, but you need to know what are these traits, okay, what is the important pointers under it. That's what you need to be aware about. So when I talk about cardinal traits, see, out and out, these are the traits that dominate an individual's whole life. So that particular individual is known for these traits the entire life. So you can actually say it can be used as a synonym, right? So it is for example, if you say Mother Teresa, like she was a very humble person and all her life was devoted to help other people. Okay, so if you say that helping tendency, that can be synonymous to what she stood for. So like that, the one particular trait that dominates your entire life is known as the cardinal trait. Okay, there can be many also. Central traits, if you see, these are a one step below your cardinal traits. So if I say cardinal is the topmost, then if you come down 1 step or 2 steps, you will find central traits. These are again important traits, but these also form the basic foundations of personality, but they are not as dominant when you talk about the cardinal traits. You can also use the central traits to describe a particular person, but if I ask you to choose one, then obviously you would say cardinal traits are the ones that can describe a person completely. Okay. The last category of traits out here is the secondary traits. Now, these are certain traits that come out only in certain situations or circumstances. They're not always found in an individual, but yes, some individuals stammer when they are on a stage, right? So they are very anxious while speaking to a group, or when they are waiting in a line, they get panicked very easily. So these are some of the traits that are hidden, and they are coming out only when they face a certain kind of an environment or a situation, right? So these are, you can say, attitudes or preferences rather. So these are the very simple 3 categories of trait that Gordon Allport put forward. So you don't need to do anything, just understand what each category of traits actually tell, okay? Based on this, there was one question that we had discussed in the LPS sessions that we usually conduct for RBI and SEBI. So this was a question that I found is useful, and it would help you to understand how far you have gone with this particular theory. So I'll not be telling you the answer here. You can have a look at this question, tell me the answer in the comment section. We can pin the answer tomorrow, or we can even discuss it in the tomorrow's class, okay? So it says that as per Gordon Allport's trait theory, arrange the following traits of leader from low to high presence in leader's personality, okay? So which is the trait that dominates in a leader? Okay, and then second and then third. From here it is saying low to high. Understand that low to high, okay? So you need to choose from the option. First is secondary, second is cardinal, third is central. Now arrange these strings from low to high presence. Fine, that's very simple. All these traits are present in the individual's friends. You need to understand that clearly, right? But the traits that dominate, obviously, they have clearly given the name itself, cardinal traits, very important. Then going back to central, and then coming to secondary, which come out only during certain situations, right? Very simple. Now, the second theory that we're going to deal with is Leuven's leadership theory. So this theory basically puts out that there are 3 leadership styles that exist. Now, this is very important because, these 3 are the most common leadership styles, and they cover almost every dimension of how a particular leader can be. So you will have a look at it. So this comes under, you can see, behavioral approach theory, that leaders are not born, but they are made. So they can be taught how to be a leader. That's what this particular, category says. So Leuven's 3 leadership styles, there are various names that you can give it to this particular style. Like authoritative, you can call it as authoritarian. Democratic, you can call it as participative or shared. Laissez-faire or delegative, or abdicative or free rein style. I've written the names, so that you do not get confused. If you see somewhere laissez-faire, or if you see abdicative, do not think that they're different. They are used synonymously as well. Okay. So now what we will do is, I'm not going to show you some notes out here, and I'm just going to discuss with you in general what these leadership styles are. From the name itself, you can see, and it's very clear. What happens in authoritative leadership style is, as the name itself says, the leader takes all the decisions, okay? The team members are not consulted. They're not even told about any decision that has to be taken. So you're not, asking your team members and then taking a decision is a different case, but you're not even conveying them anything, okay? You just think whatever decisions need to be taken, there is no requirement of your team members. You are enough to go ahead and take those decisions. Secondly, you are not bothered about how your team members react to whatever you're doing. So you just give them instructions. You're basically holding each and every step that they need to do. Okay. So it's kind of a controlling leadership, telling kind of a leadership. So this is what authoritative leadership is all about. Now see, this kind of leadership exists in certain situations, okay? If suppose you have a workforce which is unskilled, they do not even know anything. So obviously at that point of time, you need to step in and, start giving directions authoritatively. So this is one situation wherein you can see authoritative leadership style coming out. The second case can be when the environment is highly unstable, okay? The company or the organization may be going through, you say, crisis, okay, and you don't know anything what is going on. So you cannot expect your employees to come, step up and take the lead, because the entire situation is a chaos, okay. So at that point of time, what happens? The leader steps in, okay, takes that authority and then brings this kind of a leadership out, okay. So again, whenever we are studying a particular type of a leadership, friends, what we need to do, we need to be aware about knowing the kind of situations that are there for a particular leadership style to be applied, right? The second kind of leadership that Levin's leadership theory talks about is democratic, or you can say participative or shared. It is called the best or the productive leadership style here. So what happens, at the name itself says, you take your team members' advice or suggestions or feedback into account. You sit and discuss with them what are the decisions that need to be taken, what are their viewpoints. You are bothered about how they are feeling in the organization. Are they happy or not, right? So they are given a sense of freedom as well, plus their viewpoints are respected. So there's a kind of a satisfaction that these team members or employees feel. But here you need to understand, you take the advice of your team members, but it is not that you're going to completely let them take the decision. You will take the advice, but you will be taking the decision. Okay, you will ask them, you will put forth a situation to them, let them discuss, come back to you, but you will be the ultimate point of contact for decision making. So this is how it is different from authoritative and democratic. Now, what is the situation probably? See, if you have a workforce which is, capable enough to take up directions, plus to, improvise or come up with his or her own ideas, so then you can go for democratic. If the situation is very challenging, not unstable, challenging. There's a difference between unstable and challenging. Unstable is everything is in a mess. You don't even have a direction, and there's everything which requires a direction. Okay, but challenging means that there are tough tasks ahead, but you are in control. Okay, you require that zeal to ace those tasks, but everything is in control. So if there's a challenging kind of environment, then definitely participative or shared leadership would work. And if you have capable employees, okay. Then if you talk about laissez-faire or delegative side of leadership, this is a very, different kind of a leadership wherein the leader actually just steps in when necessary. So what the leader would do is leader would make sure that, the employees take their own decisions, set goals for themselves, and pretty confident about the entire team. So you yourself need to, analyze what can be the kind of situation. So the company, the organization is working in a situation which is very stable. You have expert employees working. There's a difference between capable and expertise. Okay, you might have capable employees, but they're not experts. Okay, and this category caters to employees when they're experts. Okay, they know their work well, they know what needs to be done. So actually there's no point in giving them directions at all. There's a waste of energy there. Okay, and they would not prefer to take directions also, because they are experts in their field. Okay, so that's how your laissez-faire or delegative style of leadership works. Now, having said that, this image is a little blurred. Okay, so please, I'm really sorry for the quality of it, but I wanted to show you because I found this really useful for you to understand. Here you need to concentrate on the arrow marks. Okay, see, autocratic leaders, it's a one-way communication wherein you can see that the leader communicates or gives direction, not communicates, rather gives direction to the followers. So this is one-way arrow there. If you talk about democratic or participative leader, so you can see that there are two-way arrows. Okay, so what is happening there? A to and fro. Discussions are going on, participation is going on. Okay, and between the followers also they're discussing, because the team member might just say, okay, see, look, this is something which we need to figure out, so go have a discussion, then let me know what are your viewpoints. Okay, so there's a kind of a healthy environment that is taking place. Obviously this is a considered one of the best kinds of leadership there. Then the last one, if you see, it's a free rein, laissez-faire that we saw. So here what is happening, it is more of the followers telling the, leader. So it's not telling, basically they take a decision and communicate it to the leader, and the leader is also comfortable because you have experts in the house, the organization is pretty stable, so you don't need much of a, directions being given to them, right? This is a very simple 3 categories of leadership, friends, but this is what is the base of leadership, if I would put it that way. Now, quickly what we will do, this is a small exercise. Okay, so this we also did in one of our sessions that we took for our course. So what we'll do is quickly we will see the situations, and when I say situations, I'm taking 2 factors into account. One is I'm considering what kind of an environment it is. Is the organization facing crisis? Is it a highly challenging environment? Or you can say, is it a stable environment. So that is the kind of an environment that I'll be looking for. The second category I'm going to see is the skill of the employees. Do I have unskilled employees? Do I have capable employees, or do I have expert employees? So there are three situations in terms of the working environment of the company and three in terms of the scale of the employees. Okay, so let's see, when you combine these three, when you put the various combinations out there, what is the kind of a leadership that you need to look for? Okay, first one, if you see, if there are inexperienced subordinates and the environment is in crisis, so this is authoritarian, you need to give directions. Fine. Next one, inexperienced subordinates, but it has a high growth or changing environment. Okay, so it is not in crisis but a challenging environment, definitely. Then also you have to go for authoritarian. Why? Because you have inexperienced subordinates. Okay, the situation might not be in crisis, but you still have employees who are inexperienced. Okay. Next, if you see inexperienced subordinate but stable environment. So you have inexperienced, okay, but there is one thing which you can see, the environment becomes stable out here. Okay, so that is why you can take one step further and you can go for participative, because though your workforce is inexperienced, but you have the situation in control. Okay, next, capable subordinates but environment is in crisis. Okay, so what happens here, though your workforce is capable enough but everything is in a mess, so you need to start giving directions, take authority there, authoritarian kind of leadership. Then capable subordinates, but again high growth or changing environment. Very simple, participative. That's the exact definition that we just now saw of participative leadership. Then comes capable subordinates but stable environment. Then also you need to go for participative. Okay. Then comes expert subordinates, environment in crisis, participative. Though you have expert workforce, but again the situation demands what? It demands certain kind of a direction which cannot be there in laissez-faire. So you need to take a step down and go for participative. Okay. Then comes expert subordinates, high growth or changing environment, participative. Okay. Then comes the last one, wherein you have everything goes well for you. You have a stable environment, you have an expert subordinates, and you will go for delegative. Fine. So understand, see, in the first instance, I can say that many of you would have doubts here. What you need to do, pause the video, think for a moment, try these combinations in your head. I'm not expecting you to get it right in the first instance at all. Okay. Now see the last one. The only situation wherein you can go for laissez-faire or delegative style of leadership is when you have expert subordinates and when you have a stable environment with you. Okay. And authoritarian, if you see, it is very important. One factor is here that you see that either you have a very situation which is in, a challenge, not challenging one, sorry, it is in chaos or crisis, or you have inexperienced subordinates. Okay. So that is all the combinations that you can see. Fine. Now, there are two questions I'm going to ask you. Again, I expect answers there in the comment section, guys, and we will discuss those answers, or we'll just mention them in the comment section. Okay. So here is the leadership, the characteristics of a leadership style, and you need to tell me which kind of a leadership is it. See the keywords there. The first one says the manager provides little or no direction and gives staff as much freedom as possible. Okay. Second, all authority or power given to the staff and they determine the goals and make decisions. So who determines the goals and make decisions? The staff, because authority is given to them. Third one, it allows the followers a self-rule while at the same time offering guidance and support when requested. So the leader steps in when there is a need. Okay, so if the staff members, they come forward and say, this is something which we're not able to solve, or just help us out. So when they ask for it, the leader steps in. Otherwise, it is a self-rule. So by now, I think you should have guessed the answer. It's pretty simple. Okay, but again, see the keyword. Self-rule is a keyword. Little or no direction is a keyword. Authority or power given to the staff is a keyword. Okay. Next question. The same kind of a question. Again, you have a characteristics given here. You need to tell the style of leadership. First, encourages staff to be a part of the decision making. So the staff members are allowed to be a part there. Employees like the trust they receive and respond with cooperation, team spirit, and high morale. The idea is to give equal treatment to everyone with social equality. The goals of staff are set by themselves. Okay. So here, first thing is, The main points I would say based on which you can decide your answer. The first thing is encouraging the staff to be a part of decision making, trust, and again team spirit, okay, social equality. So these are some of the pointers that are more than enough for you to arrive at the answer for this particular question. Fine. The last bit today, quickly we will see, it's called John Aday's action-centered theory. Okay, so it is again related to, as we started in the first itself. Okay, so quickly showing you, it is functional approach theory. So when I say it's a functional approach theory, what it is, we are concentrating on how the leadership process functions rather than who is taking the lead. Okay, so keeping very, very simple, not complicated at all, that this theory says, see, when you talk about accomplishing any task, okay, you need to give importance to both individual as well as the entire team. A team consists of individual, okay, and a team is nothing without individual, but an individual itself cannot, achieve everything. So it goes hand in hand basically. So it very clearly puts forth that leadership itself is divided into 3 areas. And if you want to be an effective leader or you want to achieve success in whatever you're doing as a leader, all these 3 areas must be really balanced properly. Okay, so what are those 3 areas? One is your team. Okay, you need to handle your team well. You need to motivate them. You need to do certain exercises. There must be mutual trust. Okay, and individual level, you need to concentrate their aspirations, what your employees want, where they want to go in their careers, whether they are happy to work under XYZ. So all these things, when you take the interest of your employees individually, the other thing is when you take the interest of your team collectively, okay. And the third part is giving importance to the task itself, okay. So when you lay down a particular task, it is very important you are very clear in your head regarding the objectives, regarding the steps to be taken. How would you measure the success or the failure of a task? That is standardization of a particular task. So if you are an effective leader, all these 3 areas would be balanced by you very, very effectively. So that's what John Aday's action-centered theory says, right? So here, if you talk about this theory, it more involves the process, okay? So it does not talk about who emerges out or what are the qualities of it, how this process of leadership would function. So that is what these 3 areas come together to make an effective leader, right? So again, this is an LPS question that I've picked. So it was a very direct question. I've given the answer, is it? Yeah. So, okay, so this is solved for you. So you need to just work on 3 questions. So as per John Aday's action-centered leadership approach, needs such as training the group, setting standards and maintaining discipline and appointing sub-leaders may be called as what? So it's a team function. You can very, very clearly see when you see training the group. Again, group is coming there, okay? Setting standards and maintaining discipline. Obviously, as a team, you need to see that, discipline is maintained because a team constitutes of many members. And if discipline is missing, it's not going to work out. There can be a situation when you have, say, 50 members in your team. So you cannot be in direct contact with everyone. So what you do is you appoint sub-leaders, like you categorize it and you keep contact with them and they keep contact with the other team members, okay? So this is again a concept which is there when you're handling a team, okay? So these are all team functions, fine? So guys, we are done with today's lecture and quickly telling you about the offerings that Oliveboard has for SEBI Grade A 2020 course. So we have phase 1 mock test only. We have a course which includes both phase 1 and phase 2 mock tests. There's a course which includes full notes, okay, as well as your mock test. Then we do also provide the video classes for SEBI Grade A 2020, which is called the SEBI Grade A 2020 Cracker course. And friends, if you want to access the PDF of this particular lecture, it will be available by tomorrow. There is a link which is there in the description box. You can go to that link, register yourself. If you've already registered, directly go and download, right? And we have also included a link which will help you to download some PDFs on important topics for SEBI Grade A and RBI. So you can use that link and go ahead and download some of the PDFs framed on fundamental topics, right? And just keep good care, just stay inside, stay indoors and keep studying. And if you like the video, please subscribe to this channel and press the like button and do give your feedback in the comment section. Till then friends, thank you so much.